Welcome everyone to the Urantia book. Regardless of what religion or philosophy that you're coming from, spirituality is to be the true breaking of the shackles. We're letting go of stress, anxiety, and tension. The past is dead. We are to be free from guilt. We are progressing and we are moving on with our lives. Now, one of the things that prevents us from doing that is the number one poison on the planet. So you might say, oh, well, what is that? Alcohol, tobacco, maybe diabetes causing sugars and heart disease causing foods? Well, actually, close. But the true answer, the number one poison on the entire planet, is fear. Fear is what the forces of evil use to control us, to keep us enmeshed in this failed, broken world system of things that keeps them in power. And it also keeps us addicted because when we have these stresses and anxieties and tensions about our status and standing in the universe and in the world, then we need to go to our vices, our escapisms. And as we do that, we're not able to fully understand the reality, the truth of the universe, which is beautiful and good and love, and it is truly the thing which will make us feel complete. That is spirituality, that is God. I don't care what word symbols you use for it, but it is there and it is within you. So let's remain open-minded. This book is life-changing and world-changing. It has changed my life. I know that if you embrace it, it truly can change yours. But tall order, I know. Let's see what it has to say and make up your own mind. The fear of the Lord. This is in the second preaching tour on page 1675. Now remember, we're in the Jesus portion of the book here. So again, if you're coming from this from a place of you've already rejected Jesus because of Catholicism and Christianity, keep an open mind. This is a very different presentation, and you will see. If you are Catholic or Christian and you're wondering, how these things fit into place, again, open mind. See how this expands upon what you already know. Remember, this concept is something that is taught in biblical Christianity. Ignore the words like Father and Son. Jesus says those words, okay? Just look for the concepts, all right? The concept parent. If you want to call it parent, that's fine. If you want to call it daughter, it doesn't matter. You're looking for this loving relationship concept idea. Don't get caught up in the word symbols because you're going to miss out on something profound. And we're going to see that right here and now. Okay, here we go. The fear of the Lord. It was at Gamala during the evening conference that Philip said to Jesus, Master, why is it that the scriptures instruct us to, quote, fear the Lord, while you would have us look to the Father in heaven without fear? How are we to harmonize these teachings? And Jesus replied to Philip, saying, My children, I am not surprised that you ask such questions. In the beginning, it was only through fear that man could learn reverence. But I have come to reveal the Father's love so that you will be attracted to the worship of the eternal by the drawing of a Son's affectionate recognition and reciprocation of the Father's profound and perfect love. I would deliver you from the bondage of driving yourselves through slavish fear to the irksome service of a jealous and wrathful King God. I would instruct you in the Father-Son relationship of God and man so that you may be joyfully led into that sublime and supernal free worship of a loving, just, and merciful Father God. So he's pointing out that at the start here, early man did have to have this fear concept of God because he was looking at things like storms, massive weather events and saying, wow, what is this about? Did I do something to anger this God? And now he was doing a punishment on me. I better do something to make him happy, like sacrificing 10 virgins into a volcano. That is the olden concept. But now Jesus is saying we're updating our concepts because truth is living. The Father is always unveiling more of himself. And remember, we're not getting caught up in words like children, father, and all that, okay? Jesus was a first century Jew with a first century mind. This is how they explained it. But the important concept, think of it as divine parents, if you will, or some sort of, loving concept. If you are in a relationship a human relationship, would you want to stay in that relationship with your spouse because you were afraid of them, that they were going to beat you or something like that? No, it would just be purely out of love. So why should it be any different for God? Let's carry on. The fear of the Lord has had different meanings in the successive ages, coming up from fear through anguish and dread to awe and reverence. And now from reverence I would lead you up through recognition, realization, and appreciation to love. When man recognizes only the works of God, like your weather events or whatever, he is led to fear the supreme. But when man begins to understand and experience the personality and character of the living God, he is led increasingly to love such a good and perfect, universal and eternal Father. And it is just this changing of the relation of man to God that constitutes the mission of the Son of Man on earth. And that's Jesus, the Son of Man is what he was called. But so he's here to update this. He's saying, yeah, okay, you guys got to this. At least you're recognizing there's, a God. But here, let's change the relationship. Let's break that shackle for you and reveal that it is a God of love. Remember, we're creatures created by a creator, and we're meant to have a relationship with that creator. And you can't have a relationship with it if it's not a personality. You can't have a relationship with, physics. Intelligent children do not fear their father in order that they may receive good gifts from his hand. But having already received the abundance of good things bestowed by the dictates of the Father's affection for his sons and daughters, these much-loved children are led to love their Father in responsive recognition and appreciation of such beneficence. That's a tongue twister, but it basically means bestowing a lot of goodness. The goodness of God leads to repentance. The beneficence of God leads to service. The mercy of God leads to salvation, while the love of God leads to intelligent and free-hearted worship. Again, it's a free, you don't do it because you're slavishly bound to something. It's an equal, fair, free, and exchanged. It's free will. And if it's not, then it's not God. Then it's just a fear-based theology. Your forebears feared God because he was mighty and mysterious. You shall adore him like you would your cat. And that's when I see adore, I think of how I do my cat, or maybe you do for your cat or dog. That's what adoring is. And that's that relation, because he's magnificent in love, plenteous in mercy, and glorious in truth. I mean, my relationship with God way beyond my cat, but I'm just saying that word. The power of God engenders fear in the heart of man, but nobility and righteousness of his personality beget reverence, love, and willing worship. A dutiful and affectionate son does not fear or dread even a mighty and noble father, right? It doesn't matter how mighty they are. They're going to have a merciful hand when dealing with you. I have come into the world to put love in the place of fear. There you go, folks. If you want to know what the mission of Jesus of Nazareth, I've come into the world to put love in the place of fear. Remember, fear, the number one poison? Not anymore. Not for us. We just broke that shackle. Throw it away. Even when you have an inkling of, fear, anxiety, tension. Not anymore. Right? I'm not perfect at this, but now when I read this stuff, it's reminders. And that's why this book is breaking the shackles for me. I've been reading this for 10, 15 years. The joy in the place of sorrow. Confidence in the place of dread. Loving service and appreciative worship in the place of slavage, bondage, and meaningless ceremonies. That word worship, I think, throws people. They think it's like some sort of, bowing down or that sort of thing. It's just however you want to do it. Even saying, man, you did great, God, like whatever. It's just this loving relationship. All right. But this thing, slavage, bondage, and meaningless ceremonies, think about your Catholic. Now, okay, I'm going to explain something about religion, but don't think that I'm knocking them for just the purpose of, we're trying to grow beyond where our concept is so that we can break our shackles, right? We were trying to understand this relationship as Jesus is trying to teach it, rather than, what our religions may have got confused based on these fear concepts. So when he says meaningless ceremonies, I think of adults playing dress up. They're going to dress up like wizards and hold golden rods and parade around at the front of an altar and think that has anything at all to do with God and love and the relationship with it. or they're going to spread around incense or something like that. Now, if that's where you're at, that is fine and that's okay. And we're allowed to do these things and we're allowed to understand and learn and grow. Because here's a great quote. A wise man or woman lives by what truth he can find today, wholly ready to call it. Oh, wait, was that the quote I wanted to say? I forget what. I got my one-liners mixed up. Place of slaves. Okay. All things have value to the degree that they bring men and women closer to God and God closer to men and women. So if that's a meaningless ceremony for you right now, and you think God like cares that the guy has a golden rod, or whatever this Pope is carrying, then that's fine. That could be, you think that that's your way in, but when you realize this relationship that Jesus is teaching, you really, that's just actually just a stumbling block. Why do I need this intermediate? Why do I even need a priest? I don't need some intermediary. It's good to have teachers, and there's many teachers in the universe. This book is teacher. The beings who wrote this book are teachers. But remember, God is within. Okay? But it is still true of those who sit in darkness, that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. But when the light has more fully come, exactly, okay, the fear is how we said, that's how it starts, because, you're looking at those huge events and you say, we got to contemplate something here, folks. There's got to be something going on here. But when the light has more fully come, the sons of God are led to praise the infinite for what he is, rather than to fear him for what he does. And not even just the negative ones, but even the positive things. I look at that like, what is the gift of life? Why do I have life? Why do I have personality? There's got to be something at play here. Okay, I lost my place. But it is still true that those sinners fear the Lord, beginning of wisdom. But when the light has more fully come, which it's coming for us right now, the sons of God are led to praise the infinite for what he is, rather to fear him for what he does. When children are young and unthinking, they must necessarily be admonished to honor their parents. But when they grow older and become somewhat more appreciative of the benefits of parental ministry and protection, they are led up through understanding, respect, and increasing affection to that level of experience where they actually love their parents for what they are more than what they have done. The father naturally loves the child, but the child must develop his love for the father from the fear of what the father can do through awe, dread, dependence, and reverence to the appreciative and affectionate regard of love. Okay, so that doesn't sound good, but when I think to my childhood, I think me and my sister being like, "Oh, don't do that, God," or not God. Dad is going to, punish us if we do that. There was that aspect of it, but now that has completely stripped away from my relationship, and now there's just this reverence and love between me and my father. You have been taught that you should fear God and keep his commandments, for that is the whole duty of man. But I have come to give you a new and higher commandment. I would teach you to love God and learn to do his will, for that is the highest privilege of the liberated sons of God, sons and daughters, which is who we are. That's our mission. When we do that, that's when we notice the problems and ills of the world being prioritized and not being things that are causing us depression. Your fathers were taught to fear God, the Almighty King. I teach you love God, the all-merciful Father. Right? So how do biblical people, how do they balance that? This book, I don't have any conflict. This is not a philosophic conflict for me. Okay, this love God, that was the olden way and this is the new way. Now we let go of that. But if I'm a biblical person, oh no, Luke 13:13 said I needed to fear God, so I'm going to take that to my grave and beyond. And again, I get kind of worked up when I talk about people's religious things, because I think that it's holding them back, and I think it's keeping people from really understanding God. I think it's keeping them from changing the world. If I looked at Christianity and said, fear God, what the hell? Why would I do that? And so that's why I think we can just really embrace a new truth. In the kingdom of heaven, which I have come to declare, there is no high and mighty kings. This kingdom is a divine family. The universally recognized and unreservedly worshipped center and head of this far-flung brotherhood of intelligent beings is my Father and your Father, beyond earth, trillions of inhabited planets, they teach. I am his son, and you are also his sons. Therefore, it is eternally true that you and I are brethren, right? So now we're into the brotherhood of man, the second part of Jesus' gospel. Faith and brotherhood. Heavenly estate, and all more so since we have become brethren of flesh of earthly life. Cease then to fear God as king and serve him as a master, right? And again, that word you can replace it because that could have negative connotation too. So you could just say as the superior, and that's okay. It's okay to have a superior. That helps let go of your ego. That's just realizing you don't know it all and you don't have it all. Right? There's beings out there that do, and the top dog is God. So I would gladly call God my master, bow down to him, worship him, all of that, right? But it's out of my free will. Reverence him as a creator, honor him as the father of your spirit youth, love him as a merciful defender, and ultimately worship him as the loving and all-wise father of your more mature spiritual realization and appreciation. See, he's getting us to grow here, folks, not just to cling on to crystallized creeds. Out of your wrong concepts of the Father in heaven, grow your false ideas of humility and springs much of your hypocrisy. Exactly. That's what I don't like, hypocrisy. This is no hypocrisy here. Man may be, remember, it has to fit on philosophical levels. If it doesn't fit on a philosophical level, throw it out the window. Okay? That's what hypocrisy is. That's a philosophical concept. Man may be a worm of the dust by nature and origin, right? But when he becomes indwelt by my Father's Spirit, that man becomes divine in his destiny. The bestowal spirit of my Father will surely return to the divine source and universe level of origin. And the human soul of mortal man, which shall have become the reborn child of this indwelling spirit, shall certainly ascend with the divine spirit to the presence of the eternal Father. So there's our destiny. Our origin was earthly, but we can choose a divine destiny. Right? Humility, indeed, becomes mortal man. Exactly. Who receives all these gifts from the Father in heaven, albeit there is a divine dignity attached to all such faith candidates. How much more humbling it is to say, I'm not the master here. For the eternal ascent of your heavenly kingdom. Okay, greatness awaits. The meaningless and menial practices of ostentatious and false humility are incompatible with the appreciation of the source of your salvation and the recognition of the destiny of your spirit-born souls. Remember, this stuff is within. It's not just concepts. This is your whole being that dominates your being. Humility before God is altogether appropriate in the depths of your hearts. Meekness before men is commendable, but the hypocrisy of self-conscious and attention-craving humility is childish, right? You're out there with the bullhorn saying, trying to virtue signal and all that is childish and unworthy of enlightened sons of the kingdom, right? We just have it. We don't have to, be validated in that. You do well to be meek before God and self-controlled before men. See, master, folks, this is how the master speaks. He was a perfect human specimen of self-control. And he's teaching us that that's how we should be as well. Difficult, but we should at least try. Not just try, we don't try, we do, we can do. But let your meekness be of spiritual origin and not the self-deceptive display of a self-conscious sense of self-righteous superiority. The prophet spoke advisedly when he said, walk humbly with God, for while the Father in heaven is the infinite and the eternal, he also dwells with him who is of a contrite mind and a humble spirit. Exactly. The meek shall inherit the earth. But that's not to say that we can't say God is a reality, right? And be completely steadfast and strong in that. Jesus was he wasn't a pacifist. He was very firm about things. he wasn't violent or anything like that, but he definitely just said, okay, yeah. No, he's like, look at how he talks. This was written, if you're wondering, this is the papers in the book about Jesus were written by a superhuman watch carrier, the Apostle Andrew or something like that. One of his guardian angels recorded all this, and then they brought it to the book. The prophet spoke advisedly when he said, walk humbly with God. For while the Father in heaven is the infinite eternal, he also dwells with him who is a contrite mind, humble spirit. My Father disdains pride. Disdains pride, loathes hypocrisy. Why would you want hypocrisy with God? And abhors iniquity, which is just extreme evil. See, God hates evil, right? And it was to emphasize the value. Why should he have any other attitude other than hate for evil? And why should we? And it was to emphasize the value of sincerity and perfect trust in the loving support and faithful guidance of the Heavenly Father that I have so often referred to the little child as illustrative of the attitude of mind and the response of spirit, which are so essential to the entrance of mortal man into the spirit realities of the kingdom of heaven. Teachable like children is one of the concepts, open-minded, that sort of thing. And I just want to say, back to that hating evil, we don't dwell on that. That's not something that we have to actively do. But if somebody says, hey, what's your attitude towards evil? What else are you going to say? I like it. I have no feeling about it. You can say it's relatively real, right? You can say it's only relatively real in time and space. But, we're in a time-space world here. So we can contemn things like murders and wars and stuff. Well, did the prophet Jeremiah describe many mortals when he said, you are near God in the mouth, but far from him in the heart. Oh. And have you not also read that direful warning of the prophet who said, the priests thereof teach for hire? The priest class, everybody, and the prophets thereof divine for money. We have it, even in the New Age, they have that priest class. They kind of brand themselves as like self-help gurus, and they kind of loosely attach Buddhism to it and things like that. They're getting paid so much money, and you have to pay for their courses and classes right there. If you have to pay for it, it's not anything that's going to change the world. It should be disseminated for free, and that's what this book is. You can get it online for free. At the same time, they profess piety, and proclaim that the Lord is with them. Have you not been well warned against those who speak peace to their neighbors when mischief is in their hearts? Those who flatter with the lips while the heart is given to double dealings. See, Jesus teaches, be as wise as a serpent, but gentle as a dove. You're not just saying, oh, no, he's great. No, you're recognizing that's a snake right there. He's got intents on doing this. It's not saying I'm condemning the guy to hell. But for right now, I'm recognizing that he has a selfish, self-serving agenda, and he's going to do anything that he possibly can to Trojan horse that in. He's going to talk smooth or whatever. Of all those sorrows of a trusting man, none is so terrible as to be wounded in the house of a trusted friend. Wow. That's deep. Of all those sorrows of a trusting man, none is so terrible to be wounded in the house of a trusted friend. Because you're just wise. Again, wise as serpents, gentle as doves. So that's a whole different lesson. But long one for today, folks. But I hope you got something out of that. Very uplifting. Please help like and subscribe. And thanks again. We will see you in the next video.